The flight from New York to Los Angeles was almost full when Ethan boarded, juggling his small suitcase in one hand and his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, by the other. Her small hand clutched a worn-out teddy bear, its fur faded and ear half gone. Ethan looked tired, one of those tireds that go deeper than sleep could fix. The kind you earn from years of trying, from days that never seemed long enough and nights that never truly ended. He was a single dad, had been for 4 years now since his wife passed away unexpectedly. Between his 2 jobs, sleepless nights, and endless bills, life had been a constant balancing act. But through it all, Lily was his anchor, his reason, his light. As he found their seats, a woman sitting beside them glanced up from her tablet. Her nails were perfectly polished, her hair sleek, and her outfit screamed money and confidence. She gave them a brief look, then frowned. "Excuse me," she said sharply to the flight attendant. "Is there any chance I could change my seat? I prefer quiet during flights." The attendant looked apologetic. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but this flight is completely booked." The woman sighed, rolling her eyes dramatically before muttering, "Of course." Figures. Ethan didn't say anything. He simply smiled faintly and helped Lily with her seatbelt. He was used to that look. People assuming things about him because of his worn jacket, his calloused hands, or his lack of polish. They never knew that behind that tired smile was a man who had once dreamed of being a pilot, who had studied aviation before life forced him to choose diapers over degrees. As the plane took off, the woman went back to typing furiously on her tablet. Every few minutes, she sighed or groaned in frustration, as if the world existed just to inconvenience her. Lily, on the other hand, was fascinated by the view outside. "Daddy, look. The clouds look like cotton candy." The Ethan smiled. "They sure do, sweetheart." The woman glanced at them, visibly annoyed. "Could you keep it down? Some of us have important work to do." Lily's face fell, her smile fading. Ethan gently rubbed her hand. "It's okay, sweetheart. Let's whisper." "Okay." The woman scoffed quietly, muttering, "Typical." For the next hour, the flight went smoothly. The hum of engines, the occasional laughter of passengers, the clinking of coffee cups, everything seemed ordinary. Until it wasn't. Suddenly, a loud beeping echoed through the cabin. The plane jolted slightly, and the seatbelt signs flickered on. A murmur spread across the passengers as turbulence began to shake the aircraft harder. Ethan instinctively held Lily close. "It's okay, baby. Just some bumps," he whispered, his voice calm but his eyes scanning the cabin. Then, the intercom crackled to life. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking," came a tense voice. "We're experiencing a technical issue, but please remain calm." Ecstatic. Then silence. Seconds later, a flight attendant ran down the aisle toward the cockpit, her face pale. Another followed. The murmurs grew louder. Someone gasped. Then a voice shouted from the front, urgent, panicked. "Is there any pilot on board? We need assistance immediately." The cabin went silent. The woman beside Ethan froze, her eyes wide. What did they just say? Ethan felt his chest tighten. He looked at Lily, who was clutching her bear tightly, tears welling in her big brown eyes. "Daddy, what's happening?" He squeezed her hand gently, then looked up at the frantic flight attendant, now rushing down the aisle. Her voice trembling as she repeated, "Please, if anyone here is a trained pilot, come forward now." Ethan stood. The woman blinked. "Wait, what are you doing?" He didn't answer. He simply took a deep breath and walked toward the cockpit. Passengers stared as he passed, some whispering, others praying. The attendants quickly led him inside. Inside the cockpit, chaos reigned. The captain was slumped in his chair, unconscious, a flight medic trying desperately to revive him. The co-pilot was pale, sweating, struggling to keep control as alarms blared and the plane began to descend unevenly. Ethan's voice was steady. "I'm certified in flight operations. I trained for commercial aviation before I had to drop out. I can help." The co-pilot looked up at him, desperate. "Then help me." And just like that, Ethan's instincts took over. The years fell away and his hands moved with calm precision. He scanned the controls, assessed the readings, and began issuing clear instructions. "Adjust flaps to 20 degrees. Balance thrust manually. Bring us to level flight." The co-pilot followed his lead. Slowly, the plane steadied. The alarms quieted. Outside the cockpit, the woman sat frozen, her perfectly manicured hands trembling. She looked at Lily, who was hugging her teddy bear and whispering, "My daddy's going to help the plane." A tear stung her eyes. Minutes felt like hours. The plane, once trembling and unstable, finally leveled out. The co-pilot glanced at Ethan, awe and gratitude in his expression. "You just saved us." Ethan exhaled, finally allowing himself to breathe. Just doing what needed to be done. The rest of the flight was eerily quiet. When they landed safely, the passengers erupted in applause, relief washing over them like a wave. Reporters, emergency crews, and airport staff waited outside the gate as word spread. A single dad saved the plane. Ethan didn't wait for recognition. He simply helped Lily off the aircraft, holding her small hand. She looked up at him with the purest pride.
"Daddy, you were like a superhero!"
He smiled, brushing her hair back. "No, sweetheart. I just did what anyone would do. But not everyone would." As he turned to leave, the woman who had mocked him earlier stood by the gate, tears streaming down her face. Her confident posture was gone, replaced by humility. "Sir," she said softly, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry for how I spoke to you. I didn't know." Ethan looked at her kindly. "It's okay. Sometimes life shows us who people really are in ways we don't expect." As she nodded, swallowing hard, "You saved my life. You saved all of us." He just smiled and held Lily's hand a little tighter. "Take care." As they walked away, the setting sun cast a warm glow through the airport windows, painting everything gold. Lily skipped beside him, humming softly, and the woman stood watching them go, no longer the same person who had rolled her eyes an hour ago. Because sometimes, it takes a storm in the sky to remind us of the kind of hearts that walk quietly among us. The ones we underestimate, the ones we overlook, the ones who, in silence, carry the strength to save the world when no one else can.